Hi everybody, and thank you for joining us today on this webinar with Experian. It's always great to hear from Experian, and today you'll learn all about them, who they are as a company, and the fantastic opportunities they have available to you, our Gradcracker audience. They have worked with Gradcracker for a number of years, and today we're going to be hearing from graduates about their experiences with the company so far, as well as hearing from Amy and the HR team all about the recruitment processes, who they are as a company, and some of their key initiatives. Right now, on the Experian Hub on Gradcracker, they are open to the following roles. So we've got the software degree apprenticeship, which is closing on the 11th of February. We've got 3 graduate positions. So graduate technical consultant closing on the 11th of Feb, the graduate software engineer, which is closing on Wednesday. So make sure you get your applications in. And also the HR graduate closing on the 3rd of March, which is open to business and analytics students. So don't forget, all these roles are starting in September of this year and all accepting at 2-2 or above. Placements will open again in the autumn. So after this webinar, go to the Experian Hub and make sure you follow them as an employer. Firstly, Amy, I'm going to come to you. Could you introduce yourself to the audience, who you are and what you do?
Yeah, hi everybody. My name's Amy Hart, and I'm a talent acquisition partner here at Experian. So basically, I recruit graduates, apprentices, and placement students into the organisation. Before that, I was working at Nottingham Trent University. I don't know if anybody watching is at Nottingham Trent University.
There will be.
So yeah, I was doing more interview coaching with students ready for their graduate applications. So yeah, I've been working in the early career space for quite some time.
Perfect. Shout out to Nottingham Trent. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
And could you tell everybody about Experian? You know, you're such an amazing business. You know, people think of you as a credit scoring company, but you are much more than that.
Yeah, definitely. So we're quite a complex business to explain, but yeah, I think we're quite commonly known as the company you go to get your credit score checked, like you said. But we do a lot more than that. So we are one of the largest providers of data in the world, and we have a mission to achieve financial health for all. So basically using data to help individuals to improve their financial health, supporting businesses to improve their financial health, and wider society as well. So an example of one of the products that we have is Experian Support Hub, which aims to help disabled people get easier access to essential services like utilities and banking. It's basically a one-stop portal where an individual can tell Experian all of their accessibility needs, and then we pass that on to multiple organisations for them so they get that easier access. So that's just an example of a product of how we use data to basically support individuals to increase their financial health.
Fantastic. And the opportunities that you've got open, Amy, I've just gone through them all, which are currently on your hub on Gradcracker at the moment. Tell students who are watching what they can expect.
Yeah, so we're advertising sort of graduate programs. So they're all permanent opportunities, first of all. But for the first 2 years, you're enrolled onto our development program. So that's basically a series of training, workshops where you build your interpersonal skills. So you get technical training on the job, but the development program is all about your own professional development as well. So that happens during the first 2 years. Some of the roles are rotational, so you'd move to different areas, different teams. Others don't include rotations, but you get sort of a breadth of experience in the role. So yeah, it does differ program to program, but you can see exactly what each role includes in the adverts.
Yeah, perfect. And thinking about your placements then, so they're going to be opening again in the autumn. Yeah. I know we're only in January, but thinking ahead, do you have year-long and summer placements? And tell us a little bit more about those opportunities.
Yeah, good point. So we have year and industry placements. So they're 13-month placements, and we have them across lots of different areas. So we do them in software and IT. That's sort of one pot that we recruit into. We have analytics placements as well, so data analysts. And then we have commercial placements as well. So things like marketing, for example, we have business operations. So those more commercial type roles, they are open to all backgrounds as well. So I know some people on the call will be really clear what they want to do. Others might be open to lots of different opportunities. So yeah, we do recruit from all degree backgrounds.
Perfect. And locations, I know that we're based in different locations today. I think Lydia and Amy, you're in Nottingham, and Lee and Senham, you're in London. So can you choose which location you want to be based in?
So we have roles across Nottingham and London. So Nottingham is our head office. So a lot of roles are based there, but then we do have an office in London as well. So it will always state on the job ad where exactly the role is based, but they're generally across those two locations.
Perfect. And one last question then. So thinking with, both hats on, so you did work at university and now you're working at Experian. Why would you suggest Experian is such a good company to work for graduates who are thinking about applying either for a placement, degree apprenticeship, or a graduate position?
Yeah, I think definitely in the early career space, we've got that really sort of defined development program. So we have, whether it's rotations, like I said, in place, or whether it's a breadth of experience across your role, you really do get a good exposure, whether that's on a placement or on a graduate scheme. And you've got all those targeted and tailored workshops throughout the program as well. So it's not just about the day-to-day technical work that you're working on. You really do get a chance to build your professional and interpersonal skills as well. So really by the end of the programs, you have sort of built up both areas of skill sets really. So yeah, I think it just gives you that really structured program to follow. And you as well, there's sort of mandatory workshops that take place, and then there's optional ones as well. So you can decide what areas you need to upskill in, which I think is good because not everybody has the same skills requirements. People have gaps in different areas.
Perfect. And the future Experian, what have you got plans in place that students can be part of in the next couple of years?
Yeah, so it really is continuing to sort of develop those products and services. So like that example I gave at the beginning, that's a really new service that's sort of been piloted this year. So it's bringing in lots more exciting sort of services like that for our clients that graduates, placement students all get to have sort of a real part of as well. So you really do get to have an impact from a really early stage. And I think when you hear from the grads and sort of what they've been working on, you're working on real life scenarios straight away.
Yeah, find out more about the projects. So Jess, I'm going to hand over to you. Thank you, Amy. We'll come back to Amy at the end and hear all about the recruitment process and hints and tips. But for now, Jess, over to you and speak to the grads who all found their roles on Gradcracker.
Brilliant. Thanks, Carla. And thank you, Amy, for that perfect introduction. So Lee, I'm going to come to you first, if that's okay. Could you tell us a bit about, kind of life before Experian? So what you studied, where you studied, and why did you decide to apply to their graduate position?
Yeah, of course. So I graduated Aston University 2020. My degree was in computer science. Before Experian, I worked as sort of a technical support for a college in Oxford.
Okay.
And yeah, and it sort of lends itself. I wanted a bit of a change, moved to sort of a big city, and Experian seems like a good place to work from what I've seen online.
Fantastic. And I'm sure that it's, kind of proving you're right now in the experiences you've had so far.
Yeah.
Definitely good stuff. I'm looking forward to hearing more. Lydia, I'm going to come to you next. Similar kind of questions. So where did you study? What did you study? And when did you also join Experian?
Hi everyone, I'm Lydia. So I studied chemical engineering at the University of Surrey. I joined Experian in September 2022 through the software engineering program. But prior to getting that role, Experian sponsored me to do a Co-First Girls degree. So the Co-First Girls scheme is basically just kind of trying to bridge that gender gap in like technological roles and industries. So yeah, Experian paid for me to do that so I could get a bit more sort of experience in software engineering. And yeah, that's basically it.
Perfect. Brilliant intro. Thank you, Lydia. And Senham, I'm going to come to you. Similar question. What, where, and why?
I graduated in 2019 with a degree in philosophy and politics. Took a year out and then decided to do a master's in computer science. And then, while I was looking through graduate roles on Gradcracker, I came across Experian, and yeah, I applied, and it seemed like a really good place to work for, so I went for it.
Fantastic. And how long have you been on the program for?
I've been on the program 2.5 years now. So I joined in 2021, I think.
Fantastic. Brilliant. I'm looking forward to hearing more a bit about your role and what you've been up to. So Lee, I'm going to come back to you. And yeah, can you tell us a bit more what life has been like for you at Experian and tell us a bit more about your current role?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm currently working as a graduate technical consultant in the London office for the data quality business unit in Experian. It sounds kind of vague, but it's part of the job. It's a lot of problem solving and collaboration between the clients, other teams in Experian. But the main focus in my role is to use our in-house data management tool, which is Aperture, and promote it to help solve clients' data problems and sort of generate business value for them.
Fantastic. Okay. So to go back a step for me, Lee. So obviously you've relocated from Aston to London, that's right. And tell us a bit about, kind of the early stages of the program and how you found that and kind of settling into life at Experian.
Of course. Experian really helped us ease us in. We started with sort of like a training week, sort of guiding us step by step, helping us get set up and providing us a lot of training along the way. And that's just a sub part of it, because when you go into your business unit, you also get a lot more support, training from either your buddies, mentors, or your manager itself as well.
Yeah. So that transition then from kind of university life, being trained and having that support to the role that you're in now, how have you found that? And tell us a bit more about kind of the day-to-day and what your team is like that you work with, and what's a typical day like for you?
No, absolutely. The team and Experian really helps you ease yourself in. You get to immerse yourself and learn what it's like and shadow a lot of people. And my day-to-day is typical, some morning meetings with clients, emails back and forth communication, sort of help plan your coming week. And once you've gathered all that data and information, it really sort of sets you up to take on the problems that the clients have.
Yeah, definitely. So I can imagine as well, Lee, that you'll have clients that are from lots of different kind of industries. They've got lots of different requirements. How do you find that? And, how has Experian kind of helped and support you with working with external clients and looking after their needs?
No, absolutely. We work with a whole range of clients. It varies from either tech companies to charities. We do a lot of data cleanses, which help charities manage their donors list or campaigns for bigger commercial companies. And all client problems are very unique in how they store it, what sort of business models they have, and what they need to be generated, what needs to be generated. Yeah,
I can imagine. And kind of we're going to talk a bit more about your projects a little bit later on, but in terms of kind of the day-to-day stuff, then is your team quite big? Is quite a few of you in the London office? What's it like for you there?
Yeah, there's quite a few of us on our team. At first, you get to do a lot of shadowing on your colleagues, but over time, once you build up enough confidence, you're able to sort of pick up your own projects and take your own lead. So after being a year in, I would say I'm fairly comfortable in sort of picking up kickoff calls with clients, taking on my own calls, and able to close off a project by myself pretty confidently.
Oh, that's good. And it sounds so, Amy, as well, from what you've said, you really can start to kind of carve your own career quite early on then. If you feel as though you're lacking in a bit of experience, there's that help there to kind of upskill yourself, but also kind of take a direction that, you really want to go in personally. And Lee, would you kind of say that that's been the case for you?
No, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of the trainings, that early career setup really does help you with planning or communications with clients and stuff like that. Yeah. Definitely.
Perfect. Good stuff. Well, thank you, Lee. We're going to come back to you a little bit later on to find out a bit about your rotations and your projects that you've been involved in so far. But Lydia, I'm going to come to you next. So similar kind of question, if that's okay. So if you could just tell us a bit more about your current role.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a software engineer in the identity and fraud department, and sort of my role is focusing on maintaining, fixing and improving the identity verification backend services, which a lot of our clients use, like banks and stuff, to make sure that you know, they want to give their money to, you know, non-fraudulent people, and like our services help them make that decision.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. So you got a lot of responsibility then, by the sounds of it, making sure
Yeah.
you know, exactly that you know, customers' money is going in the right place. So in
Yeah.
terms of kind of going back a step, you know, why was you initially attracted to Experian? Obviously coming from the degree discipline that you've studied, and obviously getting that support from Experian in terms of coding and things like that. You know, what was your initial attraction? Just thinking if for any students listening today that are maybe not from a computing or data science background.
Yeah, I think what really appealed to me about Experian was just like the development program that they had in place. It was like, you know, you're not going to be chucked in at the deep end, and there's going to be like opportunities for you to like really find your feet and find out what it is you want to do. And also like working for a global company, but one that like really values their employees as well. Like I could just tell that like they would, and I definitely am valued, and it's nice to kind of have that.
Yeah. That's a really good point to make. And again, especially for such a large company like Experian, sometimes, you know, there are those misconceptions, you know, sometimes are you just going to be a number, you know, people are going to listen to your voice and your opinions. But by the sounds of it, very early on, you've had that experience that people do listen, and, you know, it almost feels like a friendly environment.
Yeah, definitely.
So Lydia, tell us a bit more then about your current role. So like I say, a lot of responsibility. What's your kind of day-to-day like, and what's the team like that you work with?
So my team's quite big actually. Mainly Nottingham folk are like sort of based, which is quite nice because we get together every 3 weeks and do a sprint demo because we're like an agile working team. So sort of my day to day will be like meeting in the morning, which will be a stand up to kind of sort of like a check in on your progress. You know, what were you doing yesterday? What are you going to get on with today? Do you need any help? Do you need any support? Like that kind of thing. So you're never sort of completely left on your own. You know, there's always going to be someone there to like check in, make sure you're okay, you know what you're doing, like that sort of thing, which is really nice and really reassuring, especially sort of in my role because I work with a lot of different products and services all the time, and like literally every time I pick up a project, it will be using something new and different. So yeah, having that like support network from the team's really good.
That's really, really good. And Lydia, in terms of kind of the experience that you've gained now, and again, kind of going back to that idea of Experian being able to help you and upskill yourself, if there were any students listening, you know, is there a particular coding language or a particular skill that maybe students could start to kind of focus on in their own time when they're thinking about applying to Experian to kind of help them, you know, become more confident when putting an application in?
Yeah, definitely. So either sort of C# or Java, like those kind of languages are like a really good place to start, and you can easily like work your way up to more complex things. And also as well, like if you're not super confident right now in like software skills, but you do want to like apply for this role, I would definitely recommend just kind of going for it if it's what you're interested in, because like the support that Experian have, and it's not just like you're given these set training things, which you are, which will help you in your role. You can be like, oh, I'm actually interested in doing a bit of front end, and you can just go and use like any like sort of downtime you have to kind of work on any skills that you want to like get better at or improve in, and that like will reflect in your work as well, and like your personal development, which is really good.
Yeah, no, that's really, really good. And again, a really, really good point. So thank you so much for that, Lydia. So Senem, coming back to you, if that's okay, if you could tell the audience a bit more about your current role, please.
So my role currently is an iOS developer in the mobile team. So basically I deal with kind of all the front end stuff related to our credit score system. So for example, when you see your credit score, you've probably seen something that I've worked on. anything to do with your
Really?
report or like contacting the outside outsourcing teams. That's something that I've been working on over the past 2 years on this grad scheme.
Wow, again, a lot of responsibility, being expected to kind of come up with these ideas and press the live button so again your audience can be seeing that and using that. Is this always an area that you had an interest in then, from university, or again has your kind of graduate development program kind of taken you in a bit of a different direction?
So initially, I'll be honest with you, I was a front-end web developer. That's
Okay.
kind of where I kind of upskilled during university. So I made a lot of websites and stuff. And during my interview process, they offered me a role in the mobile team.
Right.
Something I'd never ever done before. Never even thought about looking at apps. But yeah, it's something I was obviously interested in. And over the past 2 years, I've been able to gain experience, and now I love it. It's a really, really cool space to work within.
Fab. So go on then, tell us a bit about your day to day. What's the team like that you're working with? So what university did you go to again?
I was University of Birmingham for my
Birmingham. So you moved as well to London, I guess, did you?
Yes.
So yeah, what's kind of life been like for you since you've been on the graduate program?
Yeah, it's been really good, So my day to day is kind of like just maintaining the code base, making sure that obviously our tests work, everything kind of looks right, looking for bugs, and then obviously speaking to other stakeholders and teams like analytics or product, just to make sure everything's ticking along and moving, because we work agile. So yeah, apart from that, I don't really have the same kind of client-facing roles, but I am quite close to consumers. So obviously we take in people's reviews and comments, and we try and improve the app using those comments and feedback from people. So yeah, it's very wide ranging. And then my team is quite small, or it was quite small when I initially joined, but over the past 2 years we kind of expanded, so it's tripled in size. I was part of an iOS team that was about 4 people, and now I think we're about 14 of us. It's all over the world, so it's great to work with a wide range of people from all over the world as well.
Fantastic. And then in terms of so you're saying about the iOS team is doubled, which is brilliant. Is the chance then for you to potentially move with your role, or would you see yourself kind of staying in London now?
So it's my role is actually based in Nottingham, but I live in London. I'm fully remote, so I get that kind of flexibility in a sense. I go in about once a quarter, so I always get the train up. But if I did want to, I spoke to my manager last week, and there's a full list of places that you can work abroad with Experian. Obviously,
really?
Yeah, that'll be really interesting. I don't know if you were talking about team or country. I don't know.
Well, yeah, any really.
Well, I guess to be fair, because during my rotations, I have worked with an Android team, the iOS team. I've also done some test and some design.
Oh, have you?
So I've really been able to get a breadth of the kind of mobile space and what it kind of takes to be a mobile dev in a sense.
Yeah. And in terms of, responsibility, we've talked about that a lot. And bug, worst case scenario, how quick can you get it turned around and get something live? And that is kind of your sole responsibility now.
So our release cadence is actually every 2 weeks, which is a lot slower than web's. So if we find a bug in our code, our kind of turnaround is a lot slower because of the kind of Apple review process and stuff like that. So we can get hot fixes out, but essentially it might be sitting for a couple of days within our code base. But we do try and fix stuff as quickly as possible if we do see them.
Yeah, that's good.
I feel like our code is pretty good, so it rarely happens.
Yeah, of course. No, but Amy, just to come to you quickly, just because we touched upon, I apologise everyone if my internet's a bit rubbish today, by the way. It feels as though my window is going to come through because at the window, so I do apologize if that is affecting my internet today. But Amy, I'm going to come to you about relocation. If obviously we've mentioned the 2 locations, Nottingham and London. Once a student has started with you, and if they did have an interest to work in one of your kind of international offices, how could they go about that? And is that something that's a kind of support that you'd offer?
Yeah, for sure. What we generally say is that you'd need to complete your graduate programme, sort of where you are, so whether that's Nottingham or London, unless there are sometimes sort of movements between the 2 offices, depending on circumstances. But generally, you'd complete your graduate programme where you started it.
Yeah.
But then after you've completed those first 2 years, like I said, it's a permanent contract, but we'd support you to sort of step on to the next level of role or explore a potentially different area that it is that you're looking to go into. And that could be anywhere, really. So after you've done that training for the first 2 years, it's kind of like the world is your oyster. It really is where you want to take your skills, really.
Perfect. And that's kind of takes me perfectly on to my next question, talking about rotations and projects and kind of the experience that you've had so far. So Lee, I'm going to come to you on that one. And if you could tell the audience, like I say, a bit more about the rotations and projects that you've been involved in the graduate programme.
Yeah, of course. For the technical consultant role, there isn't any rotations for me, but I think that might be changing for the next intake.
Oh, okay.
That's something completely new to me as well.
Yeah.
But with sort of a technical consultant, we work with a whole range of clients that ranges from charities to tech companies to maybe even a political party. We provide a lot of data cleanses, which is helping our clients manage their data, making sure it's up to date, up to regulation, meeting GDPRs. We do a lot of breach cleanses to make sure they are within the guidance. And these data cleanses do provide a lot of benefit. For example, with charities, they know we are able to enrich the data to give these charities more insight into their donors or their clients. Stuff such as like update of address, so they know not to contact them if they have moved or to a new address, or if they have passed away. They can try and avoid those contacts to not cause more grief with their besides that, once you get more experience, you are more comfortable with Aperture, the product, then you're able to maybe take on more larger scale projects. So recently I've been taking on sort of these larger Aperture projects where you're able to build these automated solutions, workflows. So for example, if a client has a file each month, they need that to be processed. We can create these workflows that transform the data, generate some value, and then return those. And these could be a long project where you build an MVP, and over time, the client might change what the requirements are. You just take on feedback, come up with new strategies and new steps to try and meet the client's needs, basically.
Yeah, definitely. Lee, if you don't mind me asking then, so for the audience that are listening now, everything you've just said then, is there anything that they can do, a bit like the question I asked Lydia, any coding languages, anything that they could be practicing now, so when they are putting their application in, they could be a bit more confident?
No, absolutely. I think three main things I think that I found really helpful is getting creative with the solution. There is no one correct way. So problem solving, sometimes you just have to go as far as you can, and it might not be the correct solution, but at least you've tried, and it could be useful in a different circumstances, different client cases. Next one would be definitely communications. You are on a lot of calls with clients, with other teams, so it's good to be able to have sort of different faces dealing with different people, and also time management or planning. So once you get more experience, you're able to take on more projects. They don't often overlap, but they can stagger depending on wait times and stuff. So it's really helpful to be able to plan and communicate with those clients and set expectations and stuff like that.
Perfect. That's like, did you have that answer prepared before me? That was the perfect answer. And again, really good, 3 good skills to have, isn't it? And if you can start practicing those now as a student, again, when you're getting into the situations that you're getting in, you're going to be more confident. But also, like Amy and Lydia have said, you've also got that support if you do need to practice those skills. And obviously Experian aren't going to put you in that situation. But yeah, really, really good bit of advice there. So, Lee, in terms of kind of future projects and things like that, and where you can see your career going with Experian, what is the plan for you?
I think the next step would be definitely taking on larger Aperture projects. At the moment, my projects, they are still smaller in scale. But hopefully with more experience, I'm able to take on larger ones and possibly complete them by myself.
Yeah.
Besides that, I think there's a lot of sort of opportunities for you to explore even within just my technical consultant role. You're able to build up some technical experience in terms of coding related to Aperture, of course. So there's a lot of opportunities in and around technical consultants. You're not limited to this data management product.
Yeah, there's room to grow and room to almost have separate careers within Experian by the sounds of it. Which sounds amazing. Brilliant. So thank you, Lee, for that. Lydia, I'm going to come to you next. So again, similar kind of questions, projects or rotations, if you've had any, and what have you been involved in so far?
Sure. So when I actually started the grad scheme, I started in the decisioning team. So that was sort of working on a proof of concept for migrating one of the on-premise services that we have to a cloud platform, which, cloud is such like a buzzword at the moment, everyone's using it. So like, and with being a technology company, we want to be like using like the latest stuff and like offering our clients the best thing possible. So I was working on proof of concept for that. And then sort of as I was working on that, I was aware of like the identity and fraud role. So I was like, went on a sort of a little development like exchange with them for a bit, just to like learn a bit more about that, see if it's something I wanted to, explore and go into. So I did end up sort of changing roles through that because like as I say, you can just like find out what you want to do, but you won't know what you want to do unless you're like exposed to different stuff and like you're kind of open and like flexible about what you do want to do as well. So whilst I've been working in identity and fraud, as I said before, I'm doing like the backing services for that, so creating, maintaining those, and that sort of there are slight opportunities to rotate within identity and fraud at the moment, but it's not necessarily like planned. It's more where you feel like you want to develop, where you want to look more into, like finding out more about sort of different roles that people do and stuff.
Lydia, this might be a silly question, but how do you find those projects? How do you find those teams? Or do you have to just kind of ring people up and say, so what are you guys up to today? And can I get involved?
Yeah.
Do you do it?
Yeah, I think it can actually be quite daunting, like sort of saying like, oh no, this is actually like what I want to do. I want to learn more about this. But it's actually not as scary as it sounds, because like at the end of the day, it's a development program. So it's about you developing as a person and like, developing different technical skills and going into what you're interested in. So I think like as long as you are like passionate about that, then it's not going to be like as difficult to like talk to different people and stuff. And I found that everyone I have spoke to, even just if it's like a message through Teams, someone, I don't even know, everyone is like really willing to, help you and talk to you about what they do, so you can get like a sort of better understanding of what like roles there are out there in Experian.
And for you, Lydia, where do you see you going after the role that you're in now?
So I'm actually quite happy being a developer at the moment in identity and fraud. So I've been there about 6 months now. So I'd like to sort of gain a bit more experience working in that department, and hopefully end up becoming a lead developer as well, so I can actually help the new people that come through and like act as that kind of subject matter expert on the different services that we have and help them with that.
Yeah, Perfect. And Amy, just a question, so say for example, a bit like Lydia now, she's in this role, loving it, doesn't necessarily want to move just yet. Can you stay in that role for as long as you want, or are you kind of expected to move around with you being a graduate?
Yeah, I think it's sort of case by case, really. Is it like it's a rotation? We would obviously encourage people to carry out all their different rotations, because sometimes you don't really know what unless you have experienced it.
Actually do it, yeah.
But no, if somebody's happy in their role, postgraduate program, there's no pressure to progress as such. If somebody is sort of really happy where they are, and sometimes it's about getting a breadth of experience as well, rather than just progressing. So no, it's very much case by case and what the individual wants and needs, really.
Perfect. That's absolutely brilliant. It really just sounds as though, you can have your own unique career then at Experian. It's really up to you, what you want to kind of expose yourself to and really what you want to get involved in, which is amazing. And then Sina, I'm going to come to you last, but absolutely not least. So yeah, rotation projects, what else have you been involved in?
So yeah, again, I've been involved with the Android team, the testing team, the iOS team, and the design team as well, which has been really cool. Obviously just maintaining the code base and just trying to learn the language throughout the time there. They're all 6 months rotations because you get 2 years. So it's more just kind of learning kind of the intricacies of each coding language and each code base. And then obviously it really helps that you can apply that knowledge to the other parts of the other projects that you do as well. Because obviously languages are kind of transferable if you know the core concepts.
Yeah. And what languages are you working on predominantly?
So I work in Swift, and then when I was in the Android team, I worked in Kotlin.
Okay. And did you know those languages beforehand, or have you learned those whilst at Experian?
I've learned them whilst I was Experian. Yeah,
have you?
No idea what they were before I joined, to be honest. I'd done a little bit of Java, which Kotlin is based off. But apart from that, Swift was definitely a new language for me. And yeah, it's been really good to learn, to be fair. It's a good language.
Yeah, definitely. So again, the students are listening today, again, it could be that they could do a bit of work on Swift, and it could potentially help them in the long run, which is good. Have I disappeared? No?
Yeah, you did for a sec there. Definitely. I'd advise people to kind of just have a look at what kind of projects they want to build. And then from there, they can kind of learn the languages that they want. Because obviously, I feel like if you try and learn a language first without having projects in mind, you're probably going to struggle. And then obviously, there's certain intricacies from each language, but most core concepts are transferable. So if you learn one, you probably will be able to learn another coding language, which definitely does help.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the future then, what's the future looking like for you in terms of, can you see yourself working in this team for the foreseeable, or what's the future plans?
Yeah, no, currently I love working in mobile, to be honest. And I couldn't see myself having to learn another language as of yet. So I think I just want to stay here for a couple of years and try and go senior. And then I guess from there, the sky's the limit,
Absolutely. Love it. Absolutely love it. And also you mentioned earlier about your role being kind of hybrid in the sense that you're in the office, but predominantly then you are working remotely. So Amy, sorry, just to come back to you on that one as well. Is that something that's quite common throughout Experian? If students have an interest of, again, working remotely, working hybrid, is there any kind of recommendations? What would you kind of encourage from your graduates?
Yeah, so all of our roles are hybrid. So spend a portion of time in the office, portion of time at home. What we would say, obviously, Senam's sort of a bit further into his journey. We said at the beginning, we might sort of stipulate you need to be in the office 2 or 3 days a week or something like that, dependent on the team. Because I think just at the very beginning, when you're first learning, it's so much easier to learn sat next to somebody. You've got people on hand around you. But often we find once people are more comfortable with their role, they know what they're doing, they might drop down sort of a few days less a week, and then it can be sort of molded a little bit more. But yeah, all roles are hybrid. We just say at the beginning, grads tend to come in sort of quite a bit more.
Yeah, I think it's really good advice. I think that's a really good point. It is, especially at this kind of early stage of your career. The saying is, be like a sponge, soak everything up, and get as much exposure as you can. So yeah, really, really good point. So next I want to talk, and we've spoke a lot already about it, but training and development. And it sounds as though you've all had so much support so far on your development programs. But I just want to see if there's a particular kind of training or development you've had that maybe, you know, was really, really beneficial for you in your role so far. So Lee, I'm going to come back to you on that one. If you can talk to us a bit more about that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, besides earlier career training, which is a lot of soft skills, management, in the actual role itself, being a technical consultant, we are using Aperture a lot. And that's not something they expect you to know before joining at all, completely. So they've been really helpful. They guide you through it. You're able to do a lot of shadowing to see how other consultants will complete the project and just walk you through it step by step. One thing that I've found is really useful is just immersing yourself with the product itself, just getting to know every corners of it. There's a lot of data challenges that we have on our community page. And I think once you go through those challenges, it really sort of sets you up to think outside of the box, be more creative, coming up with other solutions, and that really helps.
Perfect. Really, really good answer there. And then in terms of kind of personal support as well, Lee, is there a kind of a buddy scheme or anything at Experian? Do you kind of have a mentor or anything?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when I joined, my role was still quite new back then, but I had a lot of support from other consultants. So I could literally just grab and ask any one of them, really. But since I've joined, we have another sort of consultant joined on, and I've sort of become sort of a partner buddy for them. So yeah, so there's definitely a lot more support.
Oh, that's really good.
There's a lot
Again, it sounds as though, you know, even from when you started, there might not have been that official thing in place then, but everyone wants to help. I get the impression that, you know, just ask and, you know, they're willing to help you. And I'm guessing you had that experience and you felt that.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Okay, Lydia, I'm going to come to you as well. So yeah, training and development. You've mentioned a lot already about the training development you've had from Experian, but is there a particular training or experience that you've had that you want to talk about?
So I guess just kind of like using my downtime and stuff to, you know, work on like new languages or something that I want to learn, and then maybe like use that to apply in my job. For example, like machine learning. A lot of the kind of so a lot of our services are now compatible with that. So like just like doing a course on machine learning and then getting involved with that is like quite a good way to use some of your like training and stuff. But also in terms of like mentoring, that kind of thing, when you first join, you usually get a buddy, and those are like the kind of people that you can ask like the mundane questions too, like, oh, how do I print this, or like where's the printer, where's the canteen, that kind of thing. You know, how to book holiday, you know, all those questions that you need to know, but you know, no one really goes through and like tells you exactly how to do it and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's good to have people like that, like your buddy, that you can ask those questions to, and then you sort of get, and when you're a bit more comfortable, you can like get a mentor. I have 2 mentors actually. And they're people that I've just found that do a completely different job role to me. I'm like, oh, interested in what you do, and then they can also just help you with, you know, your development, your goals, or like if you genuinely just want a chat with them about like what it is they do and that kind of thing, like even if that's not where you want to be, it's good to know like what other people do in the business and like that kind of thing as well.
Yeah, definitely. And then so how did you find that particular person? Again, is it something that you did, you put yourself out there and asked, or was it part of an actual scheme that you signed up to?
So there's like loads of different networking events. This was like a summer barbecue that we had, and there was just people that I'd not seen there before. I just ended up sitting with them on the table, and you know, you just get chatting to different people. And I mentioned about not having a mentor, and then them saying, well, I actually wanted to, you know, I've done my training, I could be a mentor if you want. It's just
brilliant.
like that kind of thing. So you can meet new people really easily, and like I said before, everyone's like so willing to help, or even if they didn't want a mentor, they'd be like, oh, I know so and so that
Yeah.
wants a mentee or whatever. So yeah, it's just like talking to different people, and like you definitely get those opportunities to do that as well, especially through early careers.
Yeah.
Grad scheme.
Again, a good testimonial almost to Experian as well in terms of the staff
Yeah.
support, but you as an individual, Lydia, putting yourself out there and asking, which is really, really good. And I think, again, for the audience listening, that's something you want to be, ask, go and find the answer, try and get involved, because that's going to help you to network and create those relationships. So perfect answer. So thank you so much, Lydia, for that. And then Sen, I'm going to come to you again in terms of training development. Again, it sounds as though you've had a lot and had lots of support, but any particular experience that you've had that you want to talk about?
Yeah, so to be fair, I think there's one that stands out to me apart from all the kind of training that we get within our team. So there's a lot of resources to buy books and courses and stuff like that. But the one course that kind of stands out to me is an early careers course, where we did basically a kind of like a personality test.
Okay.
We did a personality test, and it kind of mapped us into 4 colors. So there was red, blue, green, red, blue, green, and yellow. Yeah, red, blue, green, yellow. Sorry. And to be fair, it mapped me to a T. It really mapped me. It knew just from filling in that questionnaire, it knew exactly what I was like. And from that, it also recommended me things that I could work on to succeed in my professional life. And I took a lot of those forward, and yeah, it shocked me. It shocked me how well and how useful the commentary from that was.
So I don't know if we've lost us. How do you use that, the personality test? Do you use that to speak to individuals of your team in a different way? Do they buddy you up differently?
So yeah, definitely. Number one, it influenced my communication style, because I was green and a yellow. Somebody who's quite like bubbly, like I'm very, very friendly, but sometimes you need to understand that some people just don't have the same personality type and might seem cold, but they are really friendly. So obviously there's communicating with that type. And then there's also, for example, I'm somebody that just loves to rush into work, just get it done. But sometimes you need to take the time to kind of evolve into it and see it grow, rather than rushing into it. So it's definitely helped me to think more about my ways of working and how I can improve that.
Because it gives you a perfect balance of the team as well, doesn't it? Understanding everybody's different personalities. What we're going to do now is, Jess, I'm going to take over because I'm worried about your internet, my love. So we're just going to finish off talking about what you get up to outside the day job. So Lee, we're going to come back to you. So what other things do you get up to aside from the 9 to 5?
So there's always a lot of happening at Experian outside of work. There's a lot of social events. So in London offices, there is a lot of sort of Experian resource groups that you can join, connect to. A lot of social events like cinema nights sometimes too. Besides those, there's also a lot of volunteering opportunities in Experian itself. They also promote a lot that's around London too.
Thanks. Lydia, on to you. What other things do you get up to?
Loads of socials. There's like different charity fundraising. There's like Macmillan coffee mornings. You can just, whilst you're in the office, you can just pop and buy a little cupcake whilst you work away, and you've contributed towards that charity. So that's always nice. And then there's like employee resource groups as well. So they're like the disability and neurodiversity group. There's like Gradcracker Experian. There's like loads of other different groups that you can find like community in, people similar to you in the business, and like just it just kind of shows how good like the diversity, equity and inclusion is at Experian as well. And if there's a resource group that it doesn't exist, then you can just create your own, or like create your own club. We have yoga club, board game club, so even if it doesn't exist, you can make it happen. So and there'll always be something for you to join and like fit in with.
It's all about networking, isn't it, and really growing those experiences. Sen, is there anything else that you get up to that you'd like to share with us in the audience?
Yeah, definitely. We go to a lot of conferences. So, for example, a couple of months ago, I went to DroidCon in London. We have ski days. There's a football team. And also there's volunteering. So we've done charity walks. So for example, I trekked the Three Peaks. Tough challenge doing that. So we did that. I've driven food around London with members of my team, and then also we go to RSPCA quite a lot. So there's quite a lot of things to do.
Very, very varied, as it seems. Everything from walking to the RSPCA. Who could ask for anything more? Thanks very much, then. And what we're going to do now, Amy, is loop back to you and just talk about the whole application process, if you don't mind. So, like I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, the opportunities are currently live on your hub on Gradcracker. So we've got 3 graduate opportunities and your degree apprenticeship. So what we want students to do, obviously, is go to the Experian hub on Gradcracker, thoroughly research, watch the videos. There's lots and lots of really good content on there for you to be able to do your research. Read the job description, like Amy said at the beginning of the webinar, read it really carefully. And then, Amy, when a student clicks and apply, what are the next stages?
Yeah, so the first stage is a CV application. I guess our top tip around that stage is really taking time to tailor the CV to the role and to Experian. That just really helps to make you stand out, and it demonstrates the drive you've got for the role. So that's the first stage. If successful at that stage, you go through to some online tests. So we do a general ability test, which includes a numerical reasoning type element. And then we also do a situational judgment test. So where you're given a hypothetical scenario and sort of asked to rank the answers on how you would respond to that. After that stage, if you're successful, then you go through to a one-way recorded video interview. So that's 4 questions which ask you about sort of your motivations, your skills, knowledge and experiences that you can apply to the role. Our tip around that really is maybe do a bit of practice beforehand, have a go at doing sort of a video interview, because it is a one-way recorded video interview. You've not got anybody responding to you. It's the first time, it can feel a little bit strange. So just do a bit of practice. That's our top tip around that. And then if successful after that stage, it's a virtual assessment centre. So that takes place on Microsoft Teams. You do a group exercise, you get to network with current graduates, and then you'll have a one-to-one interview as well. Top tip around that stage really is obviously do your research beforehand. That sort of goes for each stage of the application really. But also try to let your personality shine through. We know assessment centres can be really daunting, but we do really try and put people at ease. We just want to learn as much about you as possible. So do try and let your personality shine through. That can really help as well.
Perfect. And what timescales will we be working towards? So when a student does apply, when could they find out if they're successful?
Yeah, it's generally around 12 weeks, the whole process. So from application through those stages of testing and video interview through to assessment centre. So we work to around a 12-week mark. And then we'd let you know the outcome. If you're successful, you'd be joining us in the July if it's for a placement, and in September for a graduate role or a degree apprenticeship. We do a lot of activities in between that offer stage before the start date. So I think Lydia referenced it. We do a summer barbecue where the new joiners come and meet all the other grads. We have events in both Nottingham and London office. So it's all about meeting your team, meeting each other. And then on your first day, you've already got that support network. You know where you're going, you know who you're going to be working with. So yeah, we do a lot of activities like that from the offer point through to the start date.
Yeah, perfect. And thinking about the students, if they want to apply to more than one opportunity, is that possible, or should they just focus on the one role?
So you can apply for more than one role. If you're progressed for both, then we would ask you to select a preference at that stage. But yeah, you can apply for more than one.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Amy. So let's now go favourite rounds of the webinar, talk about the top facts and also your favourite memories. So Lee, I'm going to come to you first and tell me your top facts about Experian.
So I recently found out that a lot of retail stores or shops like coffee shops like Starbucks, they use Experian's mosaic data, which is collected from the census data to help power their decisions in how many coffee shops your town should have.
again, it shows the diversity of Experian and what the different
Yeah.
data, does for the audience. Lydia, what's your top fact?
So when Coca-Cola released their Share a Coke campaign, where you could pop down to your local shop and find your name on a Coke bottle, they used Experian data to find out like what was the most popular name in that area. So you could most probably find your name if you have a popular name. Yeah.
Lydia's saying most probably now, because I could never find my name. It made me really sad.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lydia. Then top fact.
So my top fact is that during COVID, the government actually relied on Experian for data around vulnerable people. So they were then able to, target those vulnerable people and allocate resources towards them to make sure they got it through the pandemic.
Yeah, wow, thanks, Sanam. And now favourite memory. So cast your minds back, and Lee, what is your favourite memory so far about working with Experian?
Yes, so with early career training, we have these away days at Home Pier Point. It's a training day where you get to meet a lot of other grads from other offices, Nottingham, London, some in Glasgow as well, where you get to share experiences and share what it's like working in different business units and get their perspective on Experian. So those are really sort of valuable days away. Yeah.
And how many of those do you have then? Is it one or one a year or one every so often?
I think we get them every 3 months.
Oh, okay, so quite
3
often.
months. I could be wrong.
I'm looking at Amy. Amy, do you know?
So I think they're every 6 months, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, they happen a few times throughout the graduate programme.
Perfect, thank you. And Lydia, what's your favourite memory?
So my favourite memory is actually receiving a recognition award for making a good impression in front of some key stakeholders in like a demo of work that I had delivered during a sprint, and that was very nice because it also comes with a little cash prize as a bonus.
Oh, that's it. So you have to tell me a little bit more about this then. So how did this come about? What did you have to present, and how did you put yourself in that situation?
Yeah, so it was just, every 3 weeks our team will meet for a like sprint demo where we go through all the work we've done, and we sort of just like play it back to the product director, who's the person who's asked us to do this work and that kind of thing. And I think because I'd just joined the team as well, they'd not seen me before, so I was like so I think they were quite impressed, like me coming in and saying that I'd like done all this work when I'd just joined the team and stuff. So yeah, I got a little recognition award there, so I was quite proud of myself for that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well done you. And Sanam, what's your favourite memory?
My favourite memory is probably doing the 3 Peaks challenge. So I think it was 24 miles in around 10 hours. And like the elevation, I think I can't even remember what it was, but it was painful.
Yeah.
It was very but we raised around £3,000 for charity.
Wow.
Doing that. So yeah, it was very fulfilling.
Are you going to do it again anytime soon?
No.
I knew you were going to say that. No, thank you.
No.
Perfect. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today on this webinar with Experian. Don't forget, go to the hub after this webinar and get your applications in. The software developer closes on Wednesday, 24th. So make sure you get your applications in sooner rather than later. And me and Jess will be joined next Thursday at 2 o'clock by Atkins. So join us then. But for now, goodbye and thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.